Hi, everybody. Here is Soren, and I'm sitting here with Trent and Robert, and we would like to talk a little bit about our experiences around forgiveness. Robert, Trent, and I have a function of maintenance here in the Living Miracles community, and we thought it could be expanding for our minds to come together and talk about some of our experiences. And we found that forgiveness situations would be the most interesting for us to speak about. But first, I think maybe, Robert, you could talk a little bit about how you came into Living Miracles community.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Soren. I'm not that long into the course, maybe a total of 3 years. And I was living in Holland, and I often heard people talk about Marianne Williamson. So at a certain moment, I decided to buy one of her books, Return to Love. And there was a lot of referring to the course. And then I also ordered the course and I started reading in it. And then I met a woman in a park in Amsterdam, and she was into the course, and she gave me the name of David Hofmeister. And then I started to look at David's videos. And at a certain moment, I decided to do the Tabula Rasa workshop here in La Casa in Mexico. And I went back to Holland after that for a few months, and then I came back to the community as an intern for 3 months. And now it is not 3 months, but exactly 2 years that I'm here. Yeah. And I've been in function in maintenance, taking care of animals, taking care of gardens, cleaning, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Shall I give the microphone to Trent?
Yeah, let's hear from Trent.
Trent.
Yeah, so I've been with the course just a little over 3 years, I think 3.5. So I first got introduced. I'd never heard of it before I moved to Perth, and I moved across the country in Australia, and met a lady, and she was a long-time student, and she would just spend all day in bed watching David videos, watching MWGE, and so that was my introduction to the course, and like, was it last year I came to Utah to community for Going Green 2, and I came there mainly as the function of an electrician. There's a lot of past history, like 22 years as an electrician, and so I came for 6 weeks last year, and then I came back again this year to Utah, and now I'm in Mexico, so it's been probably 5 months or up in community, going on 6 months, so not very long. I'm sort of the new kid on the block, as it were.
Right. Yeah, I came into the community in 2017, being part of Take Me Home movie project. Being part of the movie project, I continued in the community and have been engaged in all kinds of things, TV, studio production, maintenance mostly, and I've been living 2 years in Spain, where we had a center at Mallorca. So this community has really been a constant opening for new experiences, and I have done things that I felt was an old dream, like making a television studio and making a movie, but also this whole field around maintenance has given me some really interesting experiences around inspiration and guidance. You can find yourself in a situation where you're just praying for a solution, and then in strange ways. It comes to you either in a joining with other people, or you suddenly just know how to fix things that you didn't thought you knew before. So this whole area has been a expanding area actually, but also this aspect of being in situations where you are collaborating with other people. And the way it functions here is that we never make decisions on our own. So we're always in a collaboration with other people around the projects that we are doing. And I know that you guys met up at the monastery in Utah. And maybe you can talk a little bit about how your relationship and your collaboration started and how it developed.
Yeah. Last summer, so not this summer, but the summer of 23, I went for the first time to the monastery. And I remember I was there a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks, and then Trent arrived. I knew he was an electrician. I knew I would probably be collaborating with him, mainly digging trenches. And okay, we met and we ended up in the same bunk room for the men. And pretty soon, I think we started projecting on each other. Well, what I can say for sure that I started to project on Trent. I'm often in the mornings not in the best space, so I need to really... I often have the feeling I need to be alone or this or that. So I was very early in the kitchen, and very often Trent also walked in, and I thought he was coming into my space. I was thinking, this is my kitchen at the moment, and Trent just make too much noise. And yeah, somehow everything started to become difficult. I also remember we had to clean the room, our bunk room, and that didn't flow at all. I thought I knew more about cleaning than Trent because I've been a cleaner in Amsterdam. So no, things were not flowing so much. And I think for me, rock bottom was that every morning somebody would read something from the course in the morning meditation. So you present a video or a reading from the course. And one day I was exceptionally angry with Trent, and he had his turn, so he started to read from the course. And I was sitting there a few minutes, and I thought, no, I don't want to listen to Trent at the moment. No, what shall I do? And then I just walked out. And not only that, but I was stamping around upstairs, that everybody in the meditation could hear me walk upstairs. So Jeska confronted me with all this after the meditation, and yeah, it was really something that you could say that was really bad. You know, you don't just walk out of a meditation because you can't stand somebody in that moment. Later on that summer, it became better between me and Trent. My perception always was like we could probably get along good as long as we were working together. Trent was doing his electricity thing. I was digging his trenches in the hard rock bottom of the monastery, and I felt that went pretty well. Outside work, it was more difficult. This year we met again at the monastery. I think it went definitely better, not always good. And then I left the monastery to go down to Mexico, and I knew Trent is coming 2 weeks later also to Mexico. Like it was, like, you know, it's the Holy Spirit just brings two people together, as long as they don't really want to forgive like everything. The Holy Spirit will not stop by bringing you together. So I was a bit worried, like, okay, 2 weeks and then Trent is also coming. How will this go? In the bunk room with Trent, working with Trent, cooking with Trent, eating with Trent. So I thought this is well, and somehow here at La Casa things really started to evaporate, and there was even a friendship developing. So yeah, the Holy Spirit was not giving up on us, and I think has been really a big improvement in all of this. Yes.
What do you feel? What happened? What was it that was the block for you?
Yeah, because I think sometimes two people meet and either they feel very positive about each other or a bit more negative towards each other without really being able to put their finger on it. I definitely think that's something, and it's not so easy to admit, but I think I also always saw Trent like, hey, he might be competition in attention from the women. That was something that sometimes a guy just feels, but it's something that you don't really express. And I think that was one of the things that I thought like, I don't need him, around here. It's like it's a very primitive feeling, like he might be kind of competition. That was one of the things, yeah. And also Trent is not really, he's not a people pleaser, not really. It's like Trent doesn't want to do something or doesn't want to say something, or if he doesn't want to smile at me, then he doesn't do it. And sometimes that can be a bit difficult, yeah. And Trent is pretty, I feel he's very skillful, and not only with electricity, but also with other handyman stuff. And I felt like, yeah, he's just a bit better than me, yeah. Those are a few of the things, yeah.
What was your experience, Trent?
Yeah, it was, wow, what a time we've had. You and me, Robert. Yeah, last year was, it was really interesting. I'm pretty hard on myself. I have high expectations of myself, and when I met Robert, and even like the moment I found out his name, Robert, his surname started with a H, is like, okay, classic Holy Spirit humour. I just come from Australia where I lived with a man whose name was Robert, and his surname also started with a H. And I have projections that are still going on with Robert from Australia. And it's very similar projections as to what I've got going on here with Robert here. And at first, I saw Robert as just being really unwilling. And I had this idea that he just didn't try hard enough. He was unwilling to forgive. I had this sort of high expectation of my spiritual practice where I should be able to be like, I wanted my small willingness to be a big willingness, and there's even a big self-concept in that. And so when I saw someone that were either, repeating the same sort of patterns or basically doing what I was doing but didn't want to look at, then I would get really, really angry with that person. And Robert last year was really, for a time, he was that person for me. Really strong, really, at times strong hatred, and even the fact that he, there's a lot of pride as an electrician. Even when you start being an electrician, you go to school and they tell you how you are better than every other trade. You work with electricity, life-threatening electricity, so therefore you're just better than everyone else, basically. So I sort of worked in that for over 20 years. So, I thought I was pretty good as an electrician because I was an electrician. So come to community and you're doing maintenance work, handyman work with someone that doesn't have that background in a trade. And so for me, my self-worth was really tied in what I could do, how I appeared in the world, how I turned up, how useful was I. And so with Robert, you know, he had a different work background. He didn't have the trade skill set that I had. So in my mind, that made him really less valuable. And so I had this pretty low opinion of Robert when I first met him. Yeah. And then just things started shifting. Like we just like expressed at the lunch table, and as these beliefs came up, they just got washed away, and of course they just keep coming up. But I there was multiple times, but just it started turning from, oh, you're not worth as much because you don't have this skill set, or you're not willing enough to, actually, Robert's going through the exact same things I'm going through, like, but actually he's very willing. He's like 60, and you know, he doesn't have money, but he's actually letting go of that security of the work, of the world, and, you know, all those worldly things that we thought would make us secure. And he's going towards this community. He's going towards God. And I was just like, I remember this year, I sort of had this realization, like, actually, he's very willing. Like, he's really willing. Like, people come here, you know, some people come here and they've saved up money, and so, you know, there's sort of an idea that they're more secure, and so it's easier for them to do it. I'm sure it's not easier for them to do it, but there's a judgment there that it is. But he's doing it without that, you know. Like, he might not even have money to get a plane ticket back to his homeland. That's incredible. That's really courageous. And I really noticed this year at the monastery and here in Mexico, he's just so loved and appreciated by everyone, not because of what he does. It's because of who he is. Like, he's quite possibly the most open person I met. He's just so transparent, which I've only really stepped into in the last year or two, really. I've been such a people pleaser before that. Extreme people pleaser, especially in relationships, in love relationships, special love relationships. But he's just so transparent. If he's not happy, if he's angry, bang, it's out there. Like, you know where you stand with him. And I just think that's so admirable. Right. I just really appreciate that in him. And yeah, I just take my hat off to him, really. A lot of gratitude and a lot of love for Robert. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Jesus called it complementary ego dynamics. I have experienced in collaborations that I thought I knew a lot. For example, you know, when it came to movie making, and in that phase where we do it, you know, I actually thought I knew a lot about making movies, but in the process I found out that doesn't make me happy at all. You know, to be right about, you know, the right solutions and being able to fix things and all that. I remember, you know, Francis Sue, you know, told me in the beginning, this I know mind is not very appreciated in this community, because I've been working with Robert also in here at La Casa. Robert is doing whatever he feels he's able to do here, and then he calls in me when there's something bigger than that. And I've experienced a lot of times that I actually come in and then I actually think I know what's going on, but then Robert say, what about that? You know, oh yeah, I didn't really think about that, you know. And I've also experienced that with other people in our house, you know, that I simply don't actually know what I'm doing. And it's only in the joining that I found out, oh, this is actually what's needed. And people who doesn't have any, you know, experience can come up with questions and solutions that I haven't thought about. So it's very beautiful the way you speak about it, because it seems like this awareness that it's not about fixing things, it's not about the result, that is the most important thing. It's actually the process and the forgiveness situations that emerge between us that is the most important thing. So how do we feel now, Robert? You know, is there deeper to go?
Well, thanks for the booster, Trent. Yes, I didn't know this session would turn out that way. It's like, yeah, just to come back to it, it's not that I now want to give a booster to Trent, but how did I come to the a better relationship with Trent, and especially last summer in the monastery, I just felt like Trent. He really wants to go into the course. It's like Trent gets up early, he's reading the course, and he really tries to not get too much distracted with all kind of other things that are happening, or his own emotions. He really does try to do the course, and I really admired that, and I admired that he's really coming out with his emotions. So he really has the willingness to be vulnerable, and that I really that really switched my perception also of Trent. Yeah. Sorry, but what were you asking me?
I was just thinking, when you came back up from the monastery, you came back and you actually didn't know if you want to stay in the community at that point.
Yeah.
It was like, am I going to stay here because it feels like I'm trapped? And now it seems like you have gone through something. Is that correct?
I feel I'm still in the process. What I see that my ego tries to do is to glorify things that are like in my homeland Holland, and things that I went through. I really see my ego tries to boost that, like, hey, do you know how good that was? And so I must say I'm still in the process. I can't say that I really went all the way through, and I try to take it from day to day. So it's still a difficult period. Especially in the beginning when I was here, I had major anxiety about money. I could really be awake in the night thinking about money. How am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? And to give that over to Jesus and the Holy Spirit it's a big thing, because I'm Dutch, for us money means security. Money means so much, like also things like giving up health insurance. It's like giving up a certain security that normally Dutch people will not give up. So I must say I'm still in the process. Yeah.
You have sort of already done it. You already said goodbye to that. Do you feel some kind of relief?
You mean said goodbye to a filled bank account and health insurance or stuff like that? Yeah. Well, what is important for me is that I look at my older brothers and sisters, like people who are longer in the community, and they gave up a lot and they are still alive. And I see that most of them are really happy and really doing good. So that really backs me up. But I must say I'm still in process about a number of things. Yeah.
You look better.
Thank you. I just have a lot of trust in the people here. They are so loving, and I can just be who I am here. When I feel a day depressed, then nobody is saying, "Come on, Robert, show your happy face." Nobody is saying that. So that makes me feel safe. Yeah.
What about you, Trent? What's your plans?
Isn't that what we're trying to get away from?
Do you have no plans?
Well, I wish I could say that. well, I came to Mexico under a 6-month commitment to being here. And so I actually had a lot of resistance to coming to Mexico. There was a lot of fear around coming here. And then once I got here, it was just such a small group. There was 5 of us or something at La Casa. Yeah, look, my plans are, I have 5th of February in mind for some reason. I've got to go back to Australia. I've got a bus sitting in storage that I need to do something with. But I have sold my house. I've sold almost everything I own. Everything I own fits on a 22-foot bus. My plan is just to give myself fully over to this path. And I still like to hypothetical the future. But yeah, really trying to let go of that. I've just had this thought in my mind, are you staying community? Are you staying? And so there's this sort of pressure there that I've been putting on myself that I think I'm starting to really let go of now, which is why I think I'm easing into it here now, finally, after 5 weeks being here. So at the moment there's the thought in my mind, are you going to stay in community or are you going to do something else? But yeah, I really just want to walk away from the old way of being I haven't worked in 3 years. And I just can't go back to that really locking into the dream of building bank, building a house, building a family. I really feel like that's dead for me now.
Yeah.
But I really don't know what the next step is.
Right.
And I really want to be open and more open to that not knowingness, really. So, yeah, we'll see.
Great.
Yeah, I just want to add, I need to be in an environment that's, how do you call that, where there is a purpose in being together, because otherwise, no, that's not going good. That's just what I wanted to add.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's a beautiful ending, I think. So, I hope you enjoyed our little come together here. And maybe we will follow up with a new podcast later. Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Trent.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Soren. Thanks, Trent.
Bye-bye.